So let me tell you guys about how I caught. And this was, these past few weeks I've been getting confirmation about how, my angels and ancestors of the highest white light, house spirit, excuse me, house spirit's been how they made it to where my ops, the people going against me and doing all this evil shit that were still in my life, they had a plan, they had a plan to for them to fuck up and for me to see the truth, right? Not the complete truth, because it's so much deeper. But, and it's just little things, it's not like, oh my God, it's a huge truth that I find out, like in real time. But, okay, so, it was a few weeks before I got my last confirmation and dropping my last, like dropping everyone, right? Like being done. So, okay. So, let me put some instrumental music. Why is it so depressing? What the hell? Okay, so my son was going on outings, seeing my stepdad, his grandfather, shit, like 2 times a week, right? Well, my son wasn't going to school, I wasn't working, we were still, finding out, and like, I found a school for him, but, paperwork, and it takes time, and this and that. So my stepdad was watching my son like 2 or 3 times a week. And it was one day, it was like a weekday. It was like a weekday. And my stepdad and I had, talked about it briefly, like, oh, we could see, he's gonna see Mateo on this day, my son. And no, it had to do with his haircut. sometimes I'm just uncomfortable going to barber shops to take my son for a haircut. I like quality haircut, like barbers for my son, but they charge overpriced and sometimes they don't do a good job. And it's just a bunch of like karmic males. Honestly, just players. And it's like I don't even want to bother, you know. But that's why I asked my stepdad to take my son. And we had been talking about it a little bit, and so that day or those few days he was gonna take him, and I just, I sensed, I felt something very, very off, right? And I realized like an energy that connected my stepdad with my ex. And I said, okay, there's something familiar going on there. Very secretive in the way that they would say similar things, but never reveal that they are in contact with each other, or that they're best buds or anything. They play their roles right? Their sneaky roles with me. And so, I'm not like, my intention is always good. I don't have an intention to do this or that, like a selfish or ill intention, it's just, I could care less. It's just a waste of time, right? And so I felt something was up. I felt something was up, and I lied to my stepdad, and I told him my son is sick. He has a cold and this and that. He's sick. And then we left it at that. I said, okay, let's give him a few days. I think 3 days, 2 days later, he kept messaging and calling, and I never picked up, right? I just left it as is, or, yeah, he's fine, like, my son is fine, and that's it. No other communication or details or anything. My son was fine. We had a little bit of, like, the sniffles, but it was a few days after. So this is me testing, I don't like lying, but sometimes you just have to do it. And a few days goes by, and I'm also being very, like, quiet and silent and just doing my own thing, right? And my son's father is, like, calling and bothering and, like, texting, and not that he cares, because if a true parent cares, they're gonna call at the same time every day after your son is done with school or before he gets in. He's gonna call a quick one, whatever it is, to show his care and love, right? And so, he calls one day, and my son's eating and my son looks fine. He doesn't look sick. And I'm like, okay. I'm cleaning or washing dishes, and my son's at the dining table eating. And I'm walking towards the bedroom, and my son, and the dad says, oh, what did he say? Did your mom give you medicine? How are you feeling? And I never said nothing. I never mentioned that he was sick. And, he asked him in Spanish. He only talks Spanish. He knows a little bit of English, But my son, he don't understand Spanish at all, and he he doesn't like it when his dad talks Spanish, or at all, right? He gets very, like, with attitude, but he doesn't understand what his dad's asking him. I need to translate, and so I just ignore it, but I'm like, okay, I caught you. You done fucked up. And also, he caught himself. It's like finishing off the sentence and asking, he cut himself off. But I caught it, right? And then, okay, I'm like, you guys are, excuse my French, but motherfuckers. Like, I caught you guys. You guys are playing a part. You guys act like the good guy, bad guy. But you guys are on the same fucking team. You know, it's just like, what am I gonna do? I'm too nice, you know, I forgive and all this and that, but so that's how I started, you know, became more distant with them too. And my son hasn't seen him since. And yeah. And then with my dad, with him, he is more like, more secretive about it. He's very sneaky. Very sneaky and knows his ways around with his words. Plays with energy, so he cloaks himself. He's the one that, the helper, but the helper that is like doing the opposite to you as well. So these are things that I used to catch on, but I would gaslight myself because it's my dad, because he's helping me, you know, he wants better for me, but then he hates when, he's a hater when I tell him about my goals and dreams and how I want, you know, like one time I told him I wanted to become an entrepreneur. This was like 2 years ago. I'm like, oh my God, I have this idea and I want to like create like the skincare, and it has to be like more holistic based and more plant based and, you know, things like that. And I found this website where they can make it for you and like, you know, all this stuff, like they do the work for you and all this and that. And the response I got back from him was very, 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 very hurtful. It broke my heart, and I literally cried like 2 hours. Obviously off the phone, but I was really heartbroken. Like, how can my own father, you know, be like this with me? Everything done to me by my family was, by my father, that I realized is done behind the scenes with others. How people should perceive me and how I was seen, and, you know, the lies that were told about me, and how I always needed that help, how I always was just never gonna be anything. Just, you know, everything like that I've felt but never had proof or facts, never heard from my own ears. is the truth. You know, all these years. And also another moment, yeah, so that was really hurtful. After that happened 2.5 years ago, I think, I distanced myself from my dad for almost a year. Like, I would text, I was really, really close to my dad for a long time because he's like spiritual, and like I'm spiritual, and we could talk about spiritual stuff and like things we see and how we cleanse ourselves in our home and things like that that we have in common. So I have sensed things a few years back. I just always thought that he was just not a consistent parent, in a sense, you know? But, I don't know. So, you know, I asked and I prayed about it. And when I was recording that video, I don't know if it was on I don't remember what day. Let me check. I was recording a video, and I don't recall exactly, but the day before or that morning, I was asking and praying. I'm like, is it really my dad? Is he, you know, someone I should cut off, and this and this and that? When was it? Oh my God, what am I listening to? Yeah, the video I made. When? Oh, the 4th. The 4th of December. Yeah, the 4th of December. And then I got confirmation. I got a message from my own father, confirmation that day. And I realized also that they're more active with me when it comes to when there's full moons. When it's the moon cycles, they're more active with me. Let me check. Yep. Full moon was on the 4th of this month. Okay. So that's when they would basically do all this stuff. When it spells, dark magic. That's when they were more involved in my life, helpful, in my energy, things like this. And I don't research about this. I should research more about this. Not because I want. 11:11. I don't do dark magic spells or anything like that. So I got confirmation when I was recording that video on the 4th. And it was very shocking because it's like, it was more of the audacity, right? It was just very shocking. Because so much manipulation and illusions were cast upon my life, on and off, that when that broke, it really, I saw things clearly, and that's the day that I saw everything clearly. And every day that went by, even more clear, and I started, like, unraveling even more confusion that I had within from different experiences or, things I questioned, when I had communication with family members, right? Or ex. And also meeting certain people from, like, your destiny, will bring an awakening, clarity, truth to your life, will break illusions, will break curses, spells as well, depending what type of relationship that comes in, and what they're meant for in your life, right? Yeah, I remember once I was doing a lot of reflecting, a lot of more inner work. It had to do with when, like, mid-September, when that happened with, like, my son and his teachers, and I had to take him out, pull him out of school because he was getting mistreated. And he was going through emotional and mental abuse from those teachers. And so I think a few weeks later or 2 weeks later, like, those days, that week, I went into, like, a dark, deep depression. I couldn't get out of bed. My son was depressed and he was not feeling good. And I guess it just opened up a lot of childhood emotions and feelings that I had closed and just locked away. I didn't know how to deal with them because I'm so sensitive that I, like, feel. When I feel what people are going through or my own experiences, I feel them 10, 20, 30 times deeper. Like, I really, really feel them. And as a child, when you could feel like that, it's not, I don't feel good all the time. Especially if you can see right through people, adults, and you know their intention or you know the darkness within them, and you could feel it in your gut, like, and intuitively, it's not fun to feel all that darkness, and it's not fun at all. So in some ways, I did block my own gifts, and I never had support. Never had that support. to know how to manage or deal with it. Because my own parents had things within them, you know. There was one, yeah, so, you know, I was doing a lot of reflection, a lot of tracing back to my childhood and why I fell into this really deep depression and how I related to my son feeling how he was feeling at that time. And you know, I decided to open up and tell my dad how I felt abandoned by him when he and my mom separated. Like he may have some idea, but he doesn't have a full idea of what I went through living with my own mother. And I believe she's a covert narcissist. But he has no idea the darkness that was in that home. And so when I told him, you know, I'm like, I have some anger, I have some hurt, because when you left me with someone who hurt me, you know. He knew my mom and how toxic she was as an adult, but never knew how she was as a parent to their kids, you know, to his kids, how she would treat us. And his response, my own father's response, was like, let it go, like, get over it, like, leave it to God and pray about it. You know, there were some things that I did mention that, you know, basically, like, he did not take accountability. He did not feel bad or sad. Nothing. Just leave it in God's hands, you know. And I realized at that moment that his tactics, he used God a lot. And he played the role of God a lot. Like, he had, like, that God complex, right? Like, he is godly. And whatever he says is the best thing. And if you go against what he says or wants you to do for your life, then he will criticize and judge you and not be so happy. And when he said that, it was a shock. It was a slap to the face. And I just, like, got cold. And, like, my body left. My spirit left me for a sec. Like, it felt, I don't know how to explain it. I was just like I couldn't even breathe. Like, how can you say that, you know? You can't. Where's your heart? What happened to you, you know? And I guess he was just showing himself now, you know? He wasn't hiding himself anymore. I don't know. Maybe one day I'll cry about my father again. Who knows? But right now I feel fine. You know, it's easier when you're not so attached to your own parents. Once you heal from all the hurt and the damage they've done to you, and the injustices and just, the things they've done to you, and you forgive, it's not so hard, it's not easy to get mad again. Who knows? I've been purging a lot. I don't really know what's going on right now. I know it's a time for rest and to show self-love, self-care to myself, rest a lot, and eat healthy, take care of myself, stay hydrated, just be positive and pray and get closer to the Lord. That's what it is right now. That's what I have to do. That's the priority. And I believe I've surrendered completely to God. And every day, of course, I reflect and I trace back. Have I really surrendered? I'm that type of person, Like, whatever fear comes into my heart space, doubts, worries, resentment, anger, I transmute that energy. I go in deep. Why am I feeling like this? I deal with it at that moment and transmute it, take it out of my body, give it to the universe to recycle or transmute it, and that's it. Don't go back to think about it. Just keep going on about my day, keep moving forward, because I'm not gonna allow anything else, dark, negative, sadness, grief, to come back. That is not for me, because I am not my old self anymore, because I have healed, because I don't deserve to be living in these states of my old self, and the reason why I have to approach it this way is because a lot of it has been projection. That's one of the most heaviest things put onto me by my own family. My whole life has been heavy projection. My whole entire life, I used to believe I was my own mother, my own father, because they projected onto me their own shit my whole life. I never knew who I was. For a long time, I started knowing myself little by little, but I never felt safe to actually open myself up to show myself who I really am in public to others. Always, I would show a glimpse of myself if I was in a relationship or in friendship, and that was never received well, because people are haters. If you're your authentic self, if you have this light, they're not gonna like it. If you carry an energy that is so bright and unique, they're gonna hate on it. So, damn, it's like, it's 11:27 p.m. over here. It's almost midnight. So, yeah. Where was I going? So I'm really working on, because I know people are trying to pull me back in energetically, especially, right? Because they know I've caught on, they know I'm smart, you know. So they're gonna try different tactics to pull me back in. And so, you know, the best thing to do is to keep transmuting, reflecting, paying attention to your energetic field, what is coming, what is going, and how I'm feeling within and why. Because if out of nowhere I just get this feeling of like fear, anxiety, anger, like trying to gaslight myself, then I know it's coming from my ex. You know, now I'm like reversing the mirror in a sense. Just automatically I'm reversing that mirror. What the heck? That's crazy. That's so crazy. Like, I literally just pictured it in my head. Reversing the freaking mirror. Like, literally turning the mirror towards the other person. And now I could see the truth. So weird. Like, I've always... It's like, if there's a family member or an ex standing in front of me, but they have a mirror in front of them, but the mirror's facing me. That's how literally projection is. And I just literally, like, it clicked, you know? Like, I know what projection is, but like, literally, that's what they were doing. What the fuck? Like, who has time for petty shit like that, man? Man, I have too many haters, because when I when I remove myself from a past relationship, like when I remove myself, I make sure to tell them the truth. I used to be very fiery back then, even more. A little toxic, right? And I would like tell them their truth, like be fighting with them, but putting them in their place, right? Because people want to play around and deceive and just be playing with my emotions, right? So I would just take out the sword of truth and put them in their place, and they would go crying, you know? Okay, I stopped it at 39:39. How many times did I see 144 today? Like 20 times, literally. Crazy. Crazy. The numbers never stop. We're so protected. And a lot of double numbers. Or things in double. If it's birds, if it's animals like squirrels, trees, 2 trees, numbers. I see 7, 3, 6, 7, 8 in one license plate diagonally, and then the one in front of me will say 9, 3, 6, 7, 8, and then the other one would say 7, 8, or you know, so like double of the same, which is crazy. It's a game that I play and it's so fun. It's funny. It's funny because I catch all of them. I really catch all of them. I don't really have a... Yeah, but that's about it, you guys. What else? What else do I have to say? Make sure you guys are decluttering your homes, clearing out the energies, cleaning your house, your windows, taking things out of your home that you're not using anymore, that you no longer need. I'm doing a lot of that before the end of the year. Literally minimizing my whole apartment. Practicing and teaching my son as well. I have time to do things now. Time to reflect. I'm not cluttered in my head emotionally. Like, I could take a break now, you know, to actually process anything. I could finally, I'm able to do that, and I'm also allowing myself to do that. You know, my energy is coming back to me, and I'm just like waiting right now because it's coming back to me. You know, it's like I'm not fully there where all my strength and my energy is back, so I can't like move forward, start whatever I want to start, or whatever it is. Lots of things that are in the plans, right? I knew. Like, I'm even... I don't like speaking about things unless I've already overcome it, if I learned a lesson, if it's not going to affect me any longer, I will talk about it. If not, I will not talk about it. And that's what I learned by also not by staying silent, right? By not talking too much and saying everything, talking about everything, because I learned the hard way. And since I've never yeah, it's been a good day, you guys. Just standing more in my power has helped today. I'm gaining my confidence back. I see it every day. Like my own energy is coming back to me. And it feels great. Today I did not wear a hat. I was just myself. You know, I'm very private, and I'm starting to feel like comfortable recording. In the past it has been because I had fear within me and projections and illusions, and I've always been afraid, and I've had to I see demonic entities. I've always seen the evilness on this earth, you know, the darkness, and I made the darkness my bitch, basically. I am not afraid of the darkness. I am balanced in both light and dark. And when I tell you guys I'm not scared of the darkness, I could talk to anyone or be in any place where it is dark. You know, like if I am called on a mission or called by the Lord to go somewhere to talk to someone who has darkness within them, or, you know, an environment or whatever, I will do it. You know, I've overcome, and I've been put through so much shit that I've dealt with a lot of darkness. So, you know, that is the purpose of a healer as well. You know, you have to be balanced in both, because a healer, you know, there's different forms of healing, and we're also mirrors to people and empaths. And today when I went to go pick up my son, there was a guy sitting there waiting for his child. I'm guessing. I've never seen him before. Since we're still new, you know, people pick up their kids and pick up their kids at different times. And he had, you know, face tattoos. Perhaps he was in prison or in jail. You know, has a background. maybe drug addictions, I don't know. But, you know, with streetwear, he was dressed like with streetwear, casual. And you know, I can just see a lot. I could see a lot within, and he's at a time right now that he is like, he's changing, he's going higher up into the light, he's transitioning, he's having awakenings. He is awakened, but he has fear within him, and shame and guilt, and by how his outer appearance looks and how others perceive him. But he has a good heart. You know, those souls that were lost, you know, and I could relate because I was there. And I am so grateful and thankful for my journey in my life, for all the things I've gone through, because that's the goal. You know, once you heal, it's like there's a purpose for everything in life. And, you know, I just pray and I wish and I hope that he gets to that point, you know, where he could just go back and, you know, reflect, because that's when you feel accomplished and proud of yourself, and that you're, one, in a better place, two, you've accepted yourself, you love yourself, and there is a reason, there's a higher purpose for why you went through all that you've gone through, right? So that's what I noticed. Yeah, so that's what I noticed from this man. You know, and when his daughter came, you know, society is, I don't like I don't like society. Society, they're real assholes and judgmental pricks. You guys know who I'm talking about, those people. The followers, right? Who think that are perfect, who think that they could just judge anyone who doesn't look like a follower, who is not doing things by the buck, you know, who is a rebel, who thinks outside of the box, who is unique in their own ways, who is authentic within themselves and to others. You know, underdogs. And I can relate to that like so much, because my whole life I have been one. I've been someone that people have overlooked and have treated like crap, and you have to be the opposite if you want to be popular, to be noticed. You have to be a mean girl. And since I mean, I had my times where I was a mean girl, right? But that was when I was trying to be karmic, you know, be like my family members, like my cousins, or, you know, and that's when people stood next to me, like friends and stuff, because I was like that. But that was never me. It was just like, I want people around me. But yeah. I've been seeing a lot right before I'm about to close my eyes. I'm like in between worlds, right? It's dark in my room. I've been seeing like bright flashes of light. And then I close my eyes and I go to sleep. Yep. 55 minutes. I'm used to my glasses now. Oh my god, the reflection is so bad. Whatever. Few years from now, I'm gonna look back at these videos and 555 and be so proud of myself. I've healed the perfectionism to be a perfectionist. Like, I've healed that. Like the toxic way of being perfect, wanting to have everything perfect, you know, or doing it the right way. Because that takes out, it drains you of like the creativity to be yourself. Yeah. Things that our parents taught us that we had to unlearn. Took a lot out of my life. Like, it sucked the life out of me too. The process has been crazy, you guys. You know, and I noticed because, you know, the days that I work, I'm in public, I'm with people, I'm like at the stores, there's different kinds of people, you know, outside, everywhere. I move around town, like I'm driving everywhere, you know, so I see a lot and I notice a lot. And you know, there's some days that I just can't be around people. Some days where I feel like I literally see. Of course, every day I can see, like, you know, if people have demons within, if they're being haters. Of course, I can see that every day, but sometimes it's just so amplified. Like, it's right there in your face, you know, that you can't help but get the heck away from it, you know? Or just be so miserable, like, you just want to get out of there. You know, and some days you could ignore it. So I don't know if that's part of the timeline shift, if that's part of awakening. There's so many awakenings that we go through. It's ridiculous. It's crazy. And we learn so fast too. We learn at a speed that is crazy. And we just keep leveling up, you know? Like, people can't catch up to us. I was very, very tired when I started recording. I was very tired. Now, not so much. That's crazy. I've been drawing hearts. I've been drawing hearts since I had my awakening or timeline shift, or the illusion, the curses broke. When I cut, like energetically cut my energy from the rest of the people in my life, my heart chakra opened up. It started purging. I'm remembering things from my childhood, like every day, you know. And they come, like we have to pay attention, really pay attention, because things come so subtle, so like soft and smooth, like a whisper, you know. A lot of the times they don't come into, like, in your face. And I've been drawing a lot of hearts. Just next is gonna be my hands. A lot of activations going on right now. Alright guys, you guys have a good night. I've been seeing flocks and flocks of birds today. The reality, the 3D, the matrix, whatever you call it, has been going, like, has been glitching for me. People are more receptive and they're more positive and more drawn. That's the experience today. More drawn to my energy in a good way. You know, like I'm calling people in energetically. It's a really cool experience. You know, the more stable I become within myself, the more people will see my energy like stable as well, balanced. And that's always been the goal, These past 2 days, there's people that when they interact with me, they get kind of like like how I mentioned yesterday, like whiplash. No, seriously, like whiplash, like I don't know, whiplash within their reality. Like if they're glitching, like they can see, but they're not, it's like, I don't know how to explain it. Like they see me and they want to see. What the heck? How do I explain it? Like they're seeing the truth when they see me, when they interact with me, when they're in my energetic field. They have, I have, like, they, how do you say it? There's a reader that was explaining that yesterday or today, and I understood, but I didn't, like, take it in the sense where until today, where I experienced it. And I experienced it yesterday, but I didn't really, I was caught up in other things. It's like people twitch or they glitch. It's just things I noticed. That's just interesting to me. Today, the person that glitched yesterday, today they were sharper when I interacted with them. Like I brought out that power within them. The sharpness, their creative side, their intuition was more like sparked. And it's just, they were more like when you're high on energy, it's like you're just like in a good mood, or well, it's really, really interesting to see. I don't even know how to describe it. Like I'm seeing these things, how I have effect on people now. It's crazy. And it's so cool. Sometimes like yesterday I mentioned and I was like giggly and laughing about, the interaction I had with someone and how they were feeling and how they were like, it's like their body and mind and spirit, they were like dancing but like fighting. They were like not understanding, like what's going on there, so many things going on. And like I'm the most humble person ever. I don't ever like want to make fun of someone, but I told you guys because it was so interesting to see. It's like I know people have experienced this before, or they will be, and they're gonna be able to relate to me. I'm becoming comfortable with speaking and being okay where I am in my spiritual journey, in my life, in my journey with the Lord, in my journey with being more of a godly woman, right? Reading the Bible and knowing more about the Bible. And being stronger in my prayer life. Using my voice, because it has power, and expressing myself and just accepting myself for who I am, for who I've always been, but I've hid because I didn't want to intimidate people or show them like my actual strength. Because how I told you guys my experience yesterday, I was like it was just uncomfortable, it was awkward. But today has 1:11 on the timer. Today was crazy. Today has been a better day where I could digest, and I'm okay with people twitching and just glitching, which is interesting. I've surrendered control, so now I'm actually able to see myself and how others see me and how others view me and how I affect others in a good or bad way, because people could get triggered easily with. I've had more of like the negative effects than positive in my life. That is why because I was raised by toxic, karmic people that never wanted to change, never wanted to better, never wanted anything. They just wanted to stay the same and live those low vibrational ways out their whole life. They were conformed. They were comfortable in those lifestyles. And so being in those environments, I've always had to hide my light and the non-toxic way that I think, feel, show my whole life. And then after that, I became someone that I was not. Wearing masks, not intentionally, but because of those reasons. So yes, I was not being truthful to people, not being my true self, of course. It's just crazy. I love this shirt so much. It's so soft and comfy. It's like just a hug. I don't know. Feels warm. Alright guys, what time is it? It is Friday. It's 12:08. Alright, you guys have a good night. Lots of awakenings going on. I need to get different glasses. The reflection is something else. Alright, you guys have a good night. Sweet dreams. God bless you guys. All right, bye.